From the studios, it's Election Yard. It is late April 2026. We're just going to take a few minutes here, update the Senate race rankings. And there are some rankings and ratings of races that I did not change this time, but I'm thinking about it. And I think in a future video, you need to be ready for some of these ratings to change. So we're going to put on the screen right now. This is the counter that we're going to follow to show you the state of the Senate as we're going to track it throughout this 2026 midterm campaign. So first, you're going to start out with the seats that are carrying over from prior elections that are not up this time. So there are 65 of them not at stake. 34 to 31, the Democrats are going to start with the advantage. The vast majority of the seats that are up this time are Republican seats. So in this class election, you've got 33 senators that are up in their regularly scheduled 6-year term election. But then you also have 2 special elections, one in Florida, one in Ohio. Both of them are Republicans. So the Republicans have 22 seats at stake, and the Democrats have 13. And mind you, also, the 34 that we have here is Democratic. That does include Bernie Sanders and Angus King, because it would really just make the graphic not look as nice. So the 34 does include those 2 independents. And so the numbers are going to change here because there are a lot of safe seats. I don't think anything has changed here from the first update that we gave. So the safe seats for the Democrats: Colorado, Delaware, Mass, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Rhode Island, and Virginia. And then the safe seats for the Republicans, there are quite a few of them. So they have 22 seats at stake, and most of them are safe. Alabama, Arkansas, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Montana, Oklahoma, South Dakota, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Wyoming. So now the Republicans have moved ahead 44 to 42. And next, we're going to show you the likelies. Not too many here, but let's talk about them. So Illinois, Minnesota for the Democrats. For the Republicans, Florida, Nebraska, and South Carolina. So Illinois, I could see that moving to safe Democratic at some point during this campaign. If Dick Durbin, old though he is, were running for re-election, this would have been safe Democratic for sure. So we're still too recently after the primary. I just want to give the general election campaign a little time to take shape. Still really unlikely that the Republicans are going to win in Illinois, especially in this climate. So I think you could very soon see Illinois move to safe Democratic. We're not there yet. Minnesota, I mean, the Republicans don't have a great field. I mean, at this point, it looks like they could nominate Michelle Tafoya, who was the sideline reporter on Sunday Night Football. I mean, you could have that. So the Democrats, on the other hand, could nominate, I don't know, like the lieutenant governor, who is known in the state. And then on the Republican side, Florida, I'm keeping an eye on this one. So you've got an incumbent there, Ashley Moody. She was appointed to replace Marco Rubio. She's running in the special election. Vindman, the Democrat, one of the Democrats in the race, he's been raising a lot of money. There have been whispers that maybe Florida's getting closer. I don't know if I'm there yet. Democrats have gotten burned quite a bit by the Sunshine State in recent years. So I think likely Republican is the place to be for this race now. I don't quite think it's safe, but I think it's certainly more likely than not that the Republicans hold it. Nebraska is interesting because you got the independent Dan Osborne running again. Some early polling suggests that this could be a competitive race, so I think we'll keep it at likely. And if the race moves toward the Republican Pete Ricketts, it could end up going safe. But you know what? He did give Deb Fischer, the other Republican senator, a run for her money in 2024 in a not so great environment for Democrats, or as it turns out, independents being backed by Democrats. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And South Carolina too. So Lindsey Graham, not the most popular senator that South Carolina has ever had, but it's still a red state. So you keep an eye on it. Maybe it goes safe. Maybe it even moves towards lean. Not really sure if this is going to move in the near future. So we're keeping it at likely. And then only 2 races that we have as leans right now. New Hampshire, lean Democrat. Iowa, lean Republican. So New Hampshire, opinion polling has suggested that Chris Pappas, should he be the Democratic nominee, he's a congressman, that he'd probably win. Republicans haven't won a Senate race in New Hampshire in a little while now. And this is obviously to replace the Democrat Jeanne Shaheen, who is retiring. But he's probably going to be running against a Sununu. And the name Sununu still carries some weight in New Hampshire politics. They just had a governor named Sununu not too long ago. So the Sununus are still movers and shakers in the Granite State. I would think Pappas wins, but it's going to probably be close. So we'll keep it lean Democrat for now. Whereas in Iowa has become more of a red state. There have been whispers that maybe Iowa could be a surprise flip to the Democrats in some races this year. Although if we keep talking about it, it won't be much of a surprise. But I want to see how the primary goes on the Democratic side. Let's see how it unfolds, and let's see how the polling is after the primary. You would think that Congresswoman Ashley Hinson would be the favorite in this race. I think she is the favorite, but I don't think it's a slam dunk. Far from it. So lean Republican in Iowa. Now let's talk about the tilts, and I have something to say about both of these tilts. So North Carolina, lean Democratic, and the plus sign means it's a gain. So I think if the election were today, I do think Roy Cooper would win. I think it will be close, even though Roy Cooper is a relatively popular former governor who is still riding a political high in what could very well be a Democratic year. I think it's his race to lose. He might lose it, but I think it's his race to lose. Now, as for Texas, we're still about a month away from the Republican runoff between the incumbent, John Cornyn, and the challenger, the Attorney General, Ken Paxton. We know who the Democratic nominee is. It's State Rep James Tallarico. A poll actually came out today, the day I recorded this, that said Tallarico is actually in front and that he leads both of them. But with the caveat that there are still quite a few undecideds. And we're still in the middle of the runoff campaign. I want to see how things look after the runoff, which is around Memorial Day. I want to see how things look after that. And if it's looking like it's a very close race, Texas, I think, will move to a toss-up at some point. And the fact that we could be talking about Texas as a toss-up is mind-blowing because we haven't had Texas really as a toss-up in any races in general in a long time. But Texas could very well move to a toss-up once we get through that runoff campaign. Want to see how it looks. But Tallarico, so far so good. He's running, I think, about as well as a Democrat could be running at this point, but we're still very early in the Senate race this year. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Tilt Republican, because at the end of the day, it's still Texas, and Democrats haven't won a damn thing in Texas in literally decades. But this is probably the best shot they're going to have. So you could see a move here, but we're not doing it yet. However, we did move one race. And here are the toss-ups. We'll talk about it. Alaska, Georgia, Maine, Michigan, and Ohio. So the newcomer to this group of toss-ups is Ohio. So Sherrod Brown, the Democratic former senator, he is running. Sherrod Brown lost by about 3.5 points when he ran for re-election in 2024. And there was a big red wave coming at him in Ohio. So the fact that he kept it as close as he did, even though the Republicans were running away with the presidential race in the state, he did admirably. So now he's running against the appointed incumbent senator, John Huston. It looks like it's going to be a Democratic year. We don't know how big of one, but it looks like, just based on the way the polling is going and just based off of historical trends, it looks like it's going to be a Democratic year. The governor's race in Ohio looks like it might not be going amazingly for the GOP. Obviously, still a long way to go there, but it looks like it's not really going that amazing. I mean, the Republicans could obviously still win. I mean, Ohio has become much more of a red state. But if anyone's going to win this race for the Democrats in the Ohio Senate race, it's going to be Sherrod Brown. I think the polling and just the trends and what we know about Sherrod Brown, I think it's sufficiently close that I think we should couch this as a toss-up for now And if we got to move it out of toss-up, obviously we will move all of these races out of toss-up before the election, hopefully well before the election. But like Alaska, I really do think Mary Peltola has a shot at winning. I don't think it's a fait accompli that the Republicans are going to hold Alaska just because it's Alaska. Georgia, I actually think once the primaries have happened, I actually think Georgia could move to tilt Democratic at some point well before the election. I almost did it now, but I think we'll just be fair. We'll just keep it where it is. Maine, I mean, who the hell knows what's going on in Maine? I mean, it looks like Graham Plattner is going to win the Democratic primary. It looks like he's going to beat Janet Mills. But then you get to a general election against Susan Collins, who the Democrats just can't seem to beat no matter who they put up. I mean, I really have absolutely no idea what's going to happen there. At least not yet. I need more time to get a feel for that. And then Michigan, the Democrats have a competitive three-way primary going on, and we need to get through that before we make any determinations of how the general election is going to go. So that's how it looks. So right now we have 49 Republicans, 46 Democrats, and the 2 independents, and 5 toss-ups. So the Senate's in play. It really is. So now the Democrats would have to win all of these races. But you also consider the fact that they could win Texas. They could. I'm not saying they will, but they could. So if you're asking me right now, late April 2026, is the Senate in play? I actually think it is. Now, let's be fair and say that the Democrats have a lot of work to do. There is no guarantee whatsoever that they will flip the Senate. None whatsoever. But do I think it's possible? Based on what we're seeing? Yeah, it's definitely possible. It's less likely, but it's possible. So we're going to keep an eye on this all year, right up until November, because things could change here. And I think as the months go on, we will get a much clearer picture of what's going to happen. And some of these toss-ups are going to be moving probably well before the election. Here on Election Yard, like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. We'll see you soon.